Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Overload Middle. Today we're going to do a deep dive and compare and contrast Nico Williams and Rodrygo. They've been heavily linked with a move to Arsenal in recent weeks, and I thought I just want to take a look at both of them, but just look at them both of them on FC25 because we all play this game, and I want to see whether you know the stats and basically the experience of playing with them both to see whether they would which one would be the better fit for Arsenal next season. Now, Nico Williams, he's been linked. It feels like forever. Um, there were strong links, uh, around this time last year, 2024, just before the Euros. I think Arteta wanted to buy him. He went off to the Euros, had an amazing Euros, lifting the Euros, of course, and decided to stay with Atletico. Sorry, Athletic Club Bilbao. I should say not Atletico. Athletic Club Bilbao, and the hype died down a little bit. I don't think he had the best of seasons last season. If anyone wants to check out his stats, go to FBref, transfermarket.com, any one of those websites, you'll be able to see stats. But just to give you a quick summary, the things that are what concerning me about Nico, again, very gifted player, as you can see. I'm going to lean a lot on FC25 because we all play this, and I feel like this game, along with Football Manager, are probably the closest to realistic information that you'll get about players. And yeah, so looking at Nico, the thing that was surprising, I thought he had a better shot on him. Now I'm expecting him, especially with um, how well he did at the Euros and just the hype around him. I'm expecting no less than 80 for shooting, and he's coming in at 75, which is, how can I put it? Okay, he's 22, he's young, but I'm expecting at least 80, 83, maybe even 85, but 75. That gave me a little bit of cause for concern. Another area that gave me a little cause for concern is his passing at 78. And this is actually reflected in real life because comparing both, comparing both Nico Williams and Rodrygo, Rodrygo has far is a far superior pass of the ball than Nico Williams. Nico, as we know, great dribbler, got great pace. Let's have a look at his acceleration. Great acceleration at 94, great agility at 92, sprint speed is there at 92, um, vision is there at 80, which is good. And, my experience playing with him, again, very easy to play with, very easy to dribble past players with. One of the reasons why I was shocked at his shooting stats because I found him incredibly easy to score goals with. As you can probably see, I'm easy to curl shots past the keeper. Very, uh, very easy player to play with in terms of being able to get past players and score goals. So I was actually really surprised that his shooting came in so low. Another area which is a little cause for concern for me, but will be probably a major concern for Arteta, is his defending and his physicality. Now, as you can see, his defending coming in at 37, and his physical, let's even go deeper. His physical and his strength are as low as 60 for strength and 65 for physical, which is concerning, especially against teams that play the low block. If he's playing against a high line, it's happy days. But if he's playing against teams that are lower down in the league and all they want to do is park the bus, shut up shop, it's going to be difficult for him to deal with the physical element of the game, especially the Premier League. So that is a cause for concern. So going to looking at his physical a little bit more deeper, Again, strength 60, aggression 55, interception 40. Now we know Mikel Arteta, he loves the all-rounder player. He loves a player that can get forward like Martinelli, but can also track back, make tackles and provide support to the left back or right back. And the problem, the issue that I'm seeing with Nico is twofold. Number one, how he's able to deal with low blocks, how he's able to um, navigate the fact that he's gonna be coming in a lot weaker into a much physical league, and also the fact that his his interceptions, his level of defending at 37 um, will be a problem, especially for Arteta, because as we know, he wants his players basically doing everything. He wants them defending well, he wants them attacking well as a team, and the problem I'm seeing with Nico Williams, he's a little bit one-dimensional. He's great going forward, especially in space, but being able to attack low blocks, I've yet to see him do that. It'll be interesting to get your feedback or in the comments to find out if you've seen Nico Williams play against low blocks and how he actually did. Because clearly, yes, his dribbling is going to be helpful in the low block. He's got good close control. He's very, very two-footed, which is excellent. You can see his weak foot is a 5 out of 5, meaning that he can left foot, right foot, it don't matter, which is essentially important. But he's gonna have to improve. He has a lot of areas to improve on. Number one, shooting. Number two, his passing needs to improve. He can't be losing the ball, and at 78 passing, that definitely needs to go up. His defending, especially for the system that Arteta plays, where if Lewis Skelly is tucking in, he needs to know that his winger will be able to track back if needed. So that's the kind of cause for concern that I have. But again, he's 22, he's young, he's got a lot of room for development, especially in the physical area. He just needs to be hitting the gym on a daily, pumping that iron. Um, you know, and I think if he can improve for me, if he can improve his shooting and if he can improve his physicality, that's a very good start. And the defending, he can learn that. That's something Arteta will drill into him, and that will go up naturally. But the two things which Arteta can't give him, which is a better shooting stat, better passing stat, and better physique, he has to develop that. Because if he's 25 with similar stats, then it's not looking good because he has the potential to be world class, but he's not there yet. So that's my kind of take on Nico Williams. If you agree with me or don't agree with me, let me know in the comments. What's your thinking about Nico? A lot of people are saying, the Euros last year overhyped him. He's not as good, you know, as he's not as good as people make out to be. But then, there's another camp that says, he's this good at 22. What's he gonna look like at 25? So let me know your thoughts on Nico in the comments. Okay, next we're gonna look at Rodrygo. Now, looking at his stats, very, very impressive. 81 shooting, 80 passing, 88 dribbling, 89 pace. But again, his defending lets him down. And this is something that was even reflected in the game in the Champions League against when we played Real Madrid. Miles Lewis Skelly, I can argue to say that he didn't. I could argue and say that Miles Lewis Skelly had Rodrygo in his pocket. He wasn't. He doesn't have that imposing frame. As you can see, he's 5'9", 141 pounds. So again, coming into the Premier League, he's gonna need to bulk up, and he's not gonna have to bulk up quickly because for me, he's a little bit light on his feet. And even playing with him in FC25 in player manager mode, I can feel it. I can feel that he almost feels like for me, he's a great five-a-side player. When I look at him, when I play with him, he was a low center of gravity, light, fleet-footed. Um, you know, strength is 59, aggression 52. Those are the areas that he's going to need to bulk up on if he comes to the Premier League. Now, as of this recording, Xabi Alonso, who was just appointed the manager of Real Madrid, was asked whether, Rodrygo will still be in his plans. He turned around and said, yes, we plan to keep Rodrygo. He's an amazing player. We're going to need him. And, one argument can say, well, he's not going to come out on his first day and say, I want to get rid of him. So, by having said that, I don't think he dislikes a player. Well, I wouldn't think he dislikes a player, and I would think he will give everybody one season to kind of prove themselves and give them almost a fresh start. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting anyway. So whether this deal even happens is debatable. But looking at the type of player that we need and looking at his profile, the things that concern me very similar with Nico actually is his strength, his aggression, his ability to basically defend. And we're not in a place where we can afford a luxury player. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not turning around and saying he's a Mesut Ozil type player, where he's good on the eye but isn't really effective. However, I'm not sure whether he fits Arteta's profile of, again, being the kind of player that can do well going forward as well as defending. And again, going back to the Arsenal Real Madrid game at Emirates, both legs, you can see clearly. I don't think he's the type of he wasn't impressing me in terms of number one, how he was trying to overcome his marker, which was at the time Miles Lewis-Skelly. Miles Lewis-Skelly, it was light work for him. And number two, I'm not sure, I have to watch it back again, but he doesn't strike me as a type of player similar to Martinelli who will go back, defend, be a nuisance for attackers, pick up the ball, very deep in his half and start play. If I'm wrong, again, let me know in the comments. Do you think Rodrygo's the Mikel type of signing? That's basically what I'm saying. I'm not seeing it. Again, we have Andrea Berta, whose thoughts and ideas may be a little bit different to Arteta in terms of what he thinks the team needs. And again, looking at him on paper, the pace is pacing, the shooting is shooting, the passing is looking good, the dribbling is looking good. He's got a strong, weak foot. His biggest gripe at the moment is he feels like he should be playing as a left winger. Right now, he's currently playing as a right winger, and it's not his natural position. But Vinny, no one's gonna take Vinny's position. Vinny ain't gonna stand for it. And even though if you look at Vinny's on 90 and Rodrygo's on 87, but Vinny is his status is through the roof in terms of his status in the team. So I don't see Rodrygo being able to take Vinny's position anytime soon. So he's gonna have to either make a decision to stay, continue playing on the right, or decide to move. But again, is the Premier League the right league for this player? And as we know, not every league suits every player. Countless players who've come to the Premier League, who've done great abroad, done great in Europe, come to the Premier League and struggled. And I feel like for me, when I did the Sesko versus Gyökeres analysis, deep dive, we can see both players are Premier League ready. They both have strength. They both got aggression. Meaning Sesko and Gyökeres, and you can see them fitting in the league because you can see they've got something about them from a physical point of view. Now, Rodrygo and Nico Williams, with a 59, with a low strength, low aggression, low interceptions. Let's go on. You know, standing tackle, slide tackle, low. Defensive awareness, low, 24. I don't see, I don't see how they come into this league without improving those stats and doing well. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Am I kind of being a bit too harsh? Thinking that maybe they can get away with a 31 defending, maybe. But if so, Arsenal's playing style and system has to change altogether. And I don't, we're not a team that can afford to carry passengers. We can't afford. We're not also not a team that can afford to. Especially when I remember PSG, the old PSG, when they had Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, and at times it feels like they were playing with 8 men. Yeah, because literally as soon as the opposition got the ball, all front three players don't track back. They're not tracking back. They're literally, for lack of a better word, goal hanging, waiting for the ball to come to them. I'm not saying Rodrygo's that type of player, but I'm not saying he's far from being that type of player either. And again, if I'm wrong, and as I said, I don't watch Real Madrid every week, so I may be judging him a bit too harshly based on just watching the game against Arsenal versus Real Madrid, and just kind of the impression that I get. He's a very flair player. Again, will be an amazing player if we're talking about a five side, but we're talking about a Premier League where you know at least a third of teams are parking the bus. They're setting up the low block. You know, is he the type of player that even if similar to if I think about Saka, Saka's oftenly double marked. If Rodrigo was double marked, how is he going to deal with it with his low physicality? The thing that's beautiful with Saka is Saka's got strength. Saka's got all of these stats in terms of his great pace, shooting, passing, dribbling, but he's got strength. And I'm not sure whether Rodrigo will be able to handle the Premier League. Guys, I hope this has been a little insightful for you. I hope this has given you food for thought. Again, on paper, just hearing the names of Rodrygo and Nico Williams, it sounds exciting. It sounds, inspiring also in the fact that, we're getting fresh blood. But if we do get fresh blood, it's got to be the right type of player. And at this moment in time, the jury is definitely out on these two players because there's one thing to do it in Spain. It's another thing altogether to do it in the Premier League. And I know what I'm about to say might sound like blasphemy, but I'm going to say it anyway. I would have loved to have seen a player like Lionel Messi in the Premier League. Would have loved it because for me, he's the type of player that, yes, he's got strength. Don't get me wrong, but I would have loved to see him against low blocks in the Premier League. What was the old saying? Can you do it? At a rainy night in Stoke, but I think more probably the equivalent would be, can you do it at what team would I say? Can you do it on a rainy night at Nottingham Forest? That kind of those kind of teams that are very physical, very solid. Bournemouth is another team. Can you do it on a rainy night against Bournemouth away from home? And those are the type of teams that we're going to need them to, we're going to need those type of players to have that physical presence, have that dogged determination and toughness to be able to show their real talent. Because as the saying says, you have to earn the right to play. You can't just come in with, and that's one of the problems, one of the reasons why, for me personally speaking, a player like Ozil, he was oozing quality, but the physicality wasn't there. So he can only do, he can only show his quality in certain games. In other games, he would disappear because the games are too physical for him. And similar with Rodrygo and Nico Williams. Those are the things that are concerning me. Let me know. Am I being too harsh? Do you think I'm being fair? What's your thoughts on the matter? Guys, much appreciated um, for dropping in and taking a listen. Again, love for the love. Appreciate every like, comment, sub, all of that good stuff. And until next time, take care. Peace.